Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Glory and honor to our Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and to Messiah Yahweh Shai, the only begotten Son of the Father, the one who is the atonement for our sin, who is our righteousness before the Father that allowed us to be heard and answered, and the one who's going to be the soon returning King of planet Earth. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh and to Messiah Yahweh Shah. Greetings to the 12 awakening tribes of the 144,000, and also the 144, of the 144,000 and the 12 awakening tribes, as well as the precious souls among the Gentiles. Praise the Most High. Greetings, Brother Lonnie, Sister Love Blue, Only One Way. We owe Thesia. We owe Thesia. Praise the Most High. We owe Thesia. Brother David Harriet of Judah. And mic check. Greetings to all of you. Praise the Most High. I want to praise the Most High too. We've been getting a lot more people getting ready for the Memorial Day weekend. That's good. I'm glad about that. So yes, keep. I sent some of you some emails just to confirm that you were coming, and people did, and people sending in what they need to send in, and things are getting done. Praise the Most High. Yeah, I'm trying a new light out today. I got a light. Brother Castle King would probably be saying to himself, I finally joined the 21st century. Well, we'll see. But praise the Most High. So we are continuing our Raw Wednesdays, which is current events. And yeah, I had a dream, probably 2019, I want to say it was. And in my dream, I was walking in a neighborhood of houses, but all of the houses had fallen flat, and all you could see in the neighborhood was the roofs of the houses. The houses had fallen flat. I didn't see a storm or hear anything. There was no commotion. It was quiet, in fact. And all of the houses had fallen flat, and a group of men approached me as I was walking through the neighborhood, and they were looking for help. All of their houses had fallen flat, and I looked up, and my house was one of the few that had not fallen flat. And I took the men back to my house, and when I opened the door to my house, there was a bunch of people in the house, and my wife was running back and forth from the kitchen getting people food. And so when the pandemic came in 2020, my wife said maybe it was the pandemic, but I don't think it was, because the pandemic didn't create that type of destruction in the United States. But the coming recession, the one that we're about to experience, is a bit different in a couple of ways. Capitalism is controlled by the powers that run the earth, the spiritual wickedness in high places. They bring recessions. They do that on purpose. And they bring, prosperity when they want to. And the system is built so that you get winners and losers. You get winners and losers. And when these recessions hit, they're generally, and what has been happening they're generally short, I was going to say, but what has been happening since 1981, and that's, I can really go back then because I remember that time. Late 70s, like when Jimmy Carter was president, 76 to 80, the interest rates were going crazy, going high. And unemployment among Black people was over 25% at that time. I don't know what it was in general. It was high, but it was higher among us. And it was hard. My friends and I were actually discouraged and depressed during that time because we could not get jobs. We could not even get menial jobs. And I remember I got a job in a plastics factory when I turned 18. That was the first job I got. And I had been trying for a couple of years, but that job was $2.65 an hour, I think it was. And I ended up getting about $90 gross a week from that job. And I was glad to have it. And so that was the beginning. And it was a recession in 1981. when Ronald Reagan became president. As soon as he took off, there was a recession. And yeah, that's what it was then, man. And it went up to 290, I think, in another year or so, went up to 290. And then 325. By the time I had my own apartment, and that was around 82, it was 325, and that's what I was making, 325 an hour. And I thought I had struck gold when I got a job making $180 a week at that time. Then another recession came in 89, and then another recession came in the 90s. And the thing is, each recession was more intense than the last one. Each recession was more intense than the last one. And of course, the last big recession we had was 2008, which was the most intense of all. This one, and the thing is that they made it at least appear that this is a natural occurrence, that these things just happen in the economy and we should all be, bracing for it and get used to it or whatever. But this one is different in several reasons. Number one, this one, the powers that be, namely the president, is openly doing things that will bring the recession. The tariffs, the layoffs on the government level. He's openly doing things that will bring the layoffs. At the same time, interest rates are high. And so people are having trouble qualifying for a house. Housing prices have dropped, but the interest rates are so high and the prices are still too high for most people. And now you're hearing, big companies like Amazon, Google, they're laying off tens of thousands of workers. At the same time, the president is laying off tens of thousands of government workers. So the storm is brewing for something bad, okay? And I've been listening, and I put 2 videos in the description box for you to look at. There's tons of videos on every subject. When everybody, you can get 180 degrees, 360 degrees in terms of opinions on YouTube videos. But because, I'm not bragging, but I have a degree in economics and finance, and I was in financial advising for 15 years. So I know a little bit about economics and a little bit about finance. And this one is different because you're having, like I mentioned, the president doing layoffs on the government side, plus the private sector is laying off, plus the interest rates are high. And already there's statistics that show that the average American does not have $1,000 saved for an emergency. Now, typically, the rule of thumb is to have at least 6 months expenses in the bank for emergency, like a layoff or something like that. And we've been fortunate. I've been laid off a few times, and we've always had that. And we went through it, getting through the period of time when I wasn't working. At least 2 occasions, probably since 2013, but probably 3. But anyway, most people don't have $1,000. So I've been listening to some YouTube content creators, and some guys say, well, you should start saving money, which I found to be stupid. Like, okay, if you can't save $1,000 and all of a sudden, what, because a recession's coming, you're going to all of a sudden have enough money to save $1,000? And then this other sister talking about, well, we need to start businesses. The thing is, I've been self-employed. I was probably self-employed a good 15 years. Okay. Running a business ain't for everybody. And when you're in this economy, the United States economy, you're not bred to run a business. And in the turn of the 20th century, most people were self-employed because most people were in farming. Okay, especially when we come out of slavery, the only thing we knew was farming. So we knew farming, but then came the Industrial Revolution, and people stopped. Farming became smaller and smaller part of the United States economy, so that it's a very small part right now, very, very small part of the U.S. economy is farming. So most people are used to working for a company. And then in this society we're in, where everything is corporatized, everything is corporations now. Okay. Religions are corporatized. Businesses are corporatized. Everything is corporatized. So people are used to getting a job, not starting a business. And what I'm saying is to suggest that, well, we get ready to go in recession, better start a business. Now, some people could do it. There's some natural entrepreneurs that maybe have this gift they don't realize they have, and they'll start businesses. Yep, they will. But I don't think it's appropriate to suggest that the majority of people that's going to get caught up in this problem are going to start businesses. It's just going to be tough. Now, what do you suggest? You people in the room, you know a recession is coming. Layoffs are coming. They're already talking about cuts to things like Medicare and even Social Security, maybe. What should you do? What's your first thing that you should do, brother? Israel, family, what's the first thing you should do? That's right. That's right. The first thing you want to do is pray. That's the first thing you want to do is pray. Not lean to your own understanding. Remember what we talked about last week, right? Thesia knows, Brother David knows. What do we say? Trust in Yahweh with all thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. The things that man has planned and that they're doing in this economy, because our Heavenly Father is the Alpha and Omega. There is nothing that he doesn't know is coming, okay, beforehand. There's nothing that the devil can plan or that man can plan in this Babylonian system that the Father doesn't already know is coming, okay? He already knows this stuff. What we need to do is connect with him so that he can lead us through it. Does that make sense, y'all? We need to connect with him so that he can lead us through it. So what does this all mean in terms of prophecy, though? So you're dealing with an economic recession, may even go into a depression. It's definitely going into a recession. So people are going to be hurt. Okay. Now, generally with the Hebrews, we've been dealing with, I was thinking about this. My family went through our own recessions many times, in the past, especially my wife and I, many times over the past 40 years, we have went through our own household recessions. Okay, regardless of what the economy, there's been times that people around us was doing great and we was trying to scrape together for food, right? So we know what, as a people, we know what survival mode is. I don't have to explain that to the Hebrews. You know what survival mode is, and then even the Gentiles that are in our family, they know what survival mode is, right? So that's not. But there's going to be a lot of people that don't know what survival mode is, that are getting hit. Okay, and you already hearing them whining from the government side. They're getting hit with these layoffs, and they weren't expecting their boy to do that to them, and they're getting hit. Okay. And it ain't going to be easy to find. And especially like a lot of people, when you start getting up in your 50s, see, when you work, let's say you started working when you was a teenager, right? And now you're in your 50s. So from the time, let's say you 18 and now you're 50, you've been working 30 plus years, right? And what happens over that time is you gain more experience in whatever field you stuck in, and you end up making your most money in your 50s and late 50s and into your 60s because of all the experience that you gained over the 30 years, 40 years that you've been working. And so that's generally what happens right before it's time for you to retire. You are making the most money. Now, some people get laid off at that time because and I learned this in my first job out of college was in a bank, and I was in a department. And this was 1989, 90, a recession was coming. And the bank laid off, my department had 20 people in it. By the time they got done with their layoffs, my department had 5 people. So they laid off 15 people. And I thought, because I was raised, my father worked for a government contractor, and in his job, seniority decided if you were going to keep your job. The most senior people kept their job. So that's how I thought. But see, I wasn't in, my father was in almost a quasi-government scenario because he was on a government contract with a government contractor that built military equipment. So I was like, but no, it don't work like that. What I saw was all of the older people in my department that had been at that bank for decades and had given their life to work with the bank and were making the most money they ever made, all of them over 50, they was all laid off. I had just got there. I was in my late 20s. They kept me because they didn't have to pay me nothing. And they replaced one of the guys that was over 50 with two dudes that they just hired after me that together didn't make what he was making. Then I realized what they was doing. They cut off all of the bigger salaries and they kept the smaller salaries. Okay, that's how they do it. So now you in your 50s, you know, you got mortgage, you're just about ready to retire. Maybe you're thinking 5 more years, and then they lay you off. And you cannot get a job like you just got. This is the common story. You could not get a job like you just was making that kind of money you was making. Nobody's going to hire you because they can hire somebody younger and pay them less. Okay. And then when these recessions hit, sometimes in the recession, they know they don't got to pay you because they know you got to get a job. So they'll pay you less because they know you coming. So you got all this experience. Even if you're in your 30s, 20s, whatever, they know you coming. You might have been making X number of dollars and they know you got to take less because you got bills to pay and that you need a job. See? So that's what they're doing. Now, when these scenarios come, as you all correctly said, we need to pray to our Heavenly Father. And we need him to guide us as to what to do through this coming situation that Babylon is going to try to put everybody in, or is putting everybody in, right? Well, just as you and I call on the Heavenly Father, who is the only true God, okay? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the only true God. And unlike what most people think, even some of my favorite people like Malcolm X, he thought everybody worshiped the same God. No, everybody does not worship the same God. The first commandment of the 10 commandments. And by the way, the 10 commandments, let me ask y'all, here's your first quiz question or second quiz question. You answered the first one already with prayer. Here's your second quiz question tonight. Did the Most High give the 10 commandments to all the earth? Did the Father give, when he spoke those 10 commandments, did he give them to all the earth? That would be a yes or no. He did not. That's right. And as a minor precaution, he gave it to Israel. So the people that were receiving those commandments were Israelites. As a matter of fact, let's take a look in Deuteronomy. Chapter, let me see here. Man, I'm trying to, every time I'm looking for something specific, man. Hold on, I'm gonna find this. I got it. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 4. Watch this. Watch what he says through Moses to our fathers. Okay, this is Deuteronomy chapter 4 from verse 32 down to verse 35. Okay, so this is the Most High Yah talking to the children of Israel, our forefathers, through our forebrother Moses. Okay, what does he say? This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 from verse 32 down to verse 35. Notice what he said. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day that the Most High created man upon the earth, and ask from one side of heaven unto the other, whether there have been any such thing as this great thing is, or hath been heard like it. What is he talking about? Heard like what? Did ever a people hear the voice of the Most High speaking out of the midst of the fire as thou hast heard and live? Or hath the Most High essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by stretched out arm, and by terror terrors, according to all that Yahweh, your Most High, did for you in Egypt before your eyes? Unto thee it was shown, that thou mightest know that Yahweh, he is the Most High. There is none else beside him. So never in history have he taken a nation of people out of another nation and delivered them by bringing signs and wonders and judgments on the other nation. Never in history has a people that was a nation heard the Most High speak and speak his statutes and judgments to them, speak his covenant to them. Never in history. This wasn't just like Abraham receiving a dream, or Moses or any other prophet receiving a dream, or me receiving a dream. This was him speaking and them hearing. Now, them 10 commandments, he said, I am Yahweh, your Most High, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Now, he is the God of Israel. And he says there is none else. So if you're not serving the God that the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their children of Israel serve, you're not serving this one. You're not serving this one. Okay? And he said, remember the Shabbat, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahweh, your Most High. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. Why? For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Shabbat and hallowed it. So by showing you are his, you're keeping the Shabbat that he gave you. He didn't give that to nobody else. He gave that to you. Okay? Now, that's our God. So if you got some Christian denomination that says some white woman or some Caucasian man from Utah, some white woman from Maine is their prophet, are they serving the same God we serve? Or you go into some Christian denomination that's keeping Sunday and eating pork, are they serving the same one that told us you are holy? Wait, let's look at this same Deuteronomy now. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2. This is what he said to us. He said, for thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy Most High. Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. So if he only chose us and told us, then in verse 3 he says, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. So he's now teaching us that because we're his people, not only should we obey him in terms of obedience to Shabbat, but I'm going to teach you how to eat, he says. So if you got some folks talking about, well, all foods are now clean because Jesus died, are they serving the same God that we serve? And does our God change his mind? Well, if the swine is unclean to our fathers, is it now clean because Jesus died? See? So wait, but it goes further. If he says here in Amos chapter 3, if you go to Amos chapter 3 and he said, hold on. Amos chapter 3, right? If he says Amos 3, verse 1 and 2, and then verse 7, y'all know this code, right? Amos 3, 1, 2, and 7. What did he say? Hear this word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up out of the land of Egypt. Now he's being very specific as to who he's talking about. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Verse 7, surely the Most High Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret to his servants, the prophets. So wait, one more. Let's go to another. Let's get another code. Let's get another code to go with that one. Let's get another one to go with that one. That'll be Psalm 147. Psalm 147. Psalm 147. Notice what he says, Psalm 147, verse 19 and 20. Psalm 147, verse 19 and 20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Hallelujah. So if you got an Arab dude and he says he went to a mountain and he says that the Most High Yah showed him something, but he didn't call him Yah. He said his name is Allah. And he said, I'm going to write another book and I'm getting. Is that the same God that we're serving? Did he all of a sudden decide, I'm gonna tell these people they got to pray to Saudi Arabia 5 times a day. They got to pray to Saudi Arabia 5 times a day. I'm going to tell these people that these are my new people. Did he change all of a sudden? When he says he's only chosen Israel and he's only shown his statutes and judgments to them, did he change all of a sudden? So in other words, then we're not all serving the same God. You see? So the God of the Christians is not ours. The God of the Muslims is not our God. Now they could all serve whoever they want. That's their business. That's not our business. What's Stephen Kelly? Do you, boo? That's right. Do you, boo? That's none of our business. So now then, why did I bring all that up? Because we Othesia, saying Malachi, he doesn't change, but we just said that in the midst of all of this trouble coming, we need to pray to our God. But guess what? Just like we read the other day in Jonah, when the storm hit and Jonah was in that boat, every man was praying to his God. Well, brethren, a storm is coming. And we're all in the boat. And every man is going to be praying to his God. Now, they don't all serve the same gods, right? The Baptists serve the one that said we could eat what we want and we need to be baptized and keep Sunday. The SDA served the one that said Ellen White's the spirit of prophecy and we keep the Sabbath. But we need to all be vegans. That one. That's a different one. Okay. The Pentecostals say you need to start babbling in tongues, and that's the unknown tongue, the gift of the Spirit. The Mormons say you need to read the Book of Mormon plus the Bible to get a fuller understanding. So all of them are different from each other even. But one thing we know as the followers of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's God, our father's God, is that they all come from the same source. So all of those gods are man-made gods. Therefore, if they're man-made gods, and we understand where that came from, because the doctrine of man making his own God has one source, and it's not Father Yah. The one who said, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So we know that all of those guys have the source the same. They don't understand that, though. They all think that their God is the Holy One. But why did I bring that up now? Because in this storm that's coming, everyone's going to be calling on his God. And why is that important? Because as everyone starts to call on his God, people will have a renewed interest in religion, particularly the 3 Abrahamic religions, which are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. People will have a renewed interest in religion. That's what's coming. And that's what we see when we talk about Revelation chapter 13 with respect to the image to the beast. That he said, they said to the earth that they should make an image to the beast. So now you're going to see a renewed interest. Everybody, all of us are going to be praying. But it's like the 10 virgins. 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. 5 had oil. 5 didn't. So when the time of the call came, the 5 that had oil were ready, trimming their lamps. The 5 that were foolish did not. And what does the Bible say about the fool? The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. So those that are following a man-made religion aren't following the true God. They're fools. So while we are praying to receive the oil, they're praying just like the people were praying in the day of Elijah. Remember what they were praying in the day of Elijah? Let's look at that. Let's look at that. Let's look at that in 1 Kings. 1 Kings. Chapter, 1 Kings chapter, I think it's 18. Let me just double check. Yes, 1 Kings chapter 18. 1 Kings chapter 18. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to begin at, this is the contest on Mount Carmel, which is another religion. Baha'i movement is big onto this, right? So there's a religion for every, there's a sucker born every minute, and there's religion for every winded doctrine, right? But anyway, here's 1 Kings chapter 18. I'm going to start at verse 15, when Elijah shows himself to Ahab, and he sends Obadiah to tell Ahab to meet him. Okay, this is 1 Kings chapter 18, beginning at verse 15. And Elijah said, as Yahweh of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him. Ahab went to meet Elijah. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubleth Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thy and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of Yahweh, and thou hast followed Baalim, right? So they followed Balaam. So, in other words, they were following a false god, and they blamed their troubles on the only man that was following the true God. Listen now. They were following a false god, and they blamed their troubles on the only prophet that was following the true God. Right? Okay. Elijah was keeping Yah's commandments. They weren't. They were following Baal, the sun god. Okay. Verse 19. Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah, by the way, why would he listen to Elijah? Why wouldn't he just kill him right there? You know why? Because it wasn't Elijah's time. Right? It wasn't his time. If it's not your time, you do exactly, don't worry about death, right? He could have killed Elijah right there. He was looking for him. Elijah said, I'm here now. I'm right here. Meet me at Mount Carmel. And he obeyed what Elijah said to do. Praise the Most High. Okay. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? If Yahweh be the Most High, follow him. If Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then said Aliyah unto the people, even I only remain a prophet of Yahweh, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of Yahweh. And the Most High that answers by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, it is well spoken, because they wanted to see this. You know how Hebrews are. They said, let's see this. Okay. Verse 25. And Aliyah said unto the prophets of Baal, choose you 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. Oh, white Jesus, hear us. Here we go. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, cry aloud. For he is a God. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he's sleeping and must be awake. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets till blood gushed out upon them. They be going buck wild in some of these churches. Y'all know that, right? And it came to pass when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice. The time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That there was neither voice nor any that to answer, nor any that regarded. And Elijah said unto all the people, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of Yahweh that was broken down. And Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of Yahweh came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And the stones he built an altar in the name of Yahweh, and made a trench about the altar as great as one would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bullock in pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. And he said, do it a second time. And they did it a second time. And he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And the water ran around about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. And it came to pass about the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Yahweh most high of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that thou art most high in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Yahweh, hear me, that this people may know that thou art Yahweh most high, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of Yahweh fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And all the people saw it and fell. They fell on their faces, and they said, Yahweh, he is the most high. Yahweh, he is the most high. So you see, as we are now, people are going to be calling on their gods, and ain't nobody going to answer them. We're going to be calling on Yahweh, and he's going to guide us where we should go. Now, I want to warn you, because this is all controlled by man in this particular case, they may be a turnaround of sorts, but they're going to end up blaming the Hebrews for their problems. That's Revelation 13. Whosoever would not worship the image should be killed, right? So we are worshiping Yah. Yah is not the image. The image is all the man-made religions of Christianity, Islam, Judaism. Those are man-made religions. So those people worshiping them, they're going to be okay for the time being. But they're going to want to come after us because we're not worshiping their man-made religions. We're not worshiping Balaam. But the Most High, as he protected Elijah for 3.5 years, he protected Elijah for 3.5 years. How do I know that? James, I believe it's chapter 5. Let me just double check it. James chapter 5, yep. Let's look at this. James chapter 5, verse 17 and 18. James chapter 5, verse 17 and 18. Notice what it says in James chapter 5, verse 17 and 18. Elijah was a man subject to like passions as we are. And he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. 3 years and 6 months. What is that? 3.5 years. So the Most High provided for Elijah and protected him for 3.5 years. And he's going to provide for us and protect us. And as Elijah had to fast for 40 days and 40 nights on a meal that an angel gave him, so will the Most High protect us and keep us and provide for us. And we will also end up fasting on 40. Not that we got to plan it. Don't plan it. Elijah didn't plan it. It just happened. And it will be for us. It just happened. He'll provide for us. He'll protect us. He'll keep us. So as everybody is now praying to their gods, let them. We're praying to ours. And we'll see who answers. Right? We'll see who answers. Just like a lie. We'll see who answers. Because that's the storm is now setting up. Now look, aside from the economic data, aside from that, and we know that measles is having a new breakout. There's other diseases coming back. Bird flu is making a comeback. Aside from all of that, you know and I know, we just came through a hurricane season. And right now, there's tornadoes hitting the middle part of the United States, major league, right? Major league destroying. And it's interesting now. It's destroying places in all these red states. Isn't that interesting? First, we saw North Carolina get smacked around. Now Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, all these red states getting smacked around. See, you're going to see more of that. And that we're not even dealing with that. Those are natural disasters coming, aside from the economic disaster. So it's about to get on right now. This year, right now, this is getting on, okay? So pray to the Most High that he will protect you, that he will guide your steps and where you should go and what you should do. He will do it, obviously. He did not. This is the thing we should remember, brethren. We're not here by accident. We're not here by accident. And the Father Yah did not guide you here to drop you now. What did he say? He says, do I cause to bring to have a pregnancy and not bring forth to the birth? He's not going to leave you now. Okay. He that has begun a good work will perform it. So he's going to take care of you. He did not get you this far to drop you. Just remember that. He did not get you this far to drop you. So he's going to, as he got you to here, he's going to get you forward. Okay. And some of us, like Brother David just going, what was it, 2 years, 3 years, Brother David? He was without work. And the Most High had him without work because Most High was taking care of him and his family while he was without work. He's the breadwinner, but he was out until it was time. And just so he would take care of us until it's time. You know, he'll take care of us. But we are calling on the only true God. Everybody else is calling on a figment of man's creation. And we'll see who answers. We'll see who answers. But it's coming, man. It's all the indicators are showing that. It's coming. So just keep praying for each other. Keep praying for each other because it's coming. Now, I believe we're so close to, you know, all of us know 2027 is right around the corner. And that, let me just be clear again. 2027 is the Day of Atonement. That's where we're looking for the Spirit of the Father to seal us. That is not the return of Messiah, although it could come at any time. But according to the prophecy we've been studying, 2027 is the Day of Atonement with the Jubilee. Okay. 5 years later, 2032, this thing should be over. This thing should be over. Okay. And the world has no idea. That's right. The outpouring and the sealing of Acts chapter 2, of Joel chapter 2, Acts chapter 2. That's what we're looking for. The seal of the 144,000, Revelation chapter 7. That's what we're looking for. Okay. That's what we're looking for. The sign of the Spirit upon us. So we're preparing for that now. 2032 is this thing should be over. Okay. Now, speaking of that, I was just talking to Brother Castle King. We were texting earlier. Right now, as y'all can see the moon, this is the last moon of the Hebrew year. We're at right now. This is the last moon. It's now going. We just passed the midpoint of the month, and we're going toward the tail end of the month. And the next new moon is the new year. Okay. The next new moon is the new year. So the next new moon is the first month of the year for us. Now, what's coming up? Y'all tell me. What's coming up in the next new moon? What comes up after that? And when does it come up? So the first month of the year is coming up for us. The next new moon. Okay. Probably in about 2 weeks. All right. That's right. Thank you, Mike. So the Passover is coming on the 14th day. So you'll know when it's the 14th day because it'll look like almost like a full moon, right? The 14th day is the Passover, and the 15th day is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, same period of time. So you're talking about Passover, and you'll know it because it'll look like a full moon. It's not quite full, but it'll be full enough so you can see it. And then there'll be the full moon the next day, the 15th of the month, right? So that'll be the Passover. So that's coming. So in about 2 weeks, we're looking for the new moon, right? Right now, we're at the end of the 12th month, probably like going into the third week, finishing the third week of the 12th month of the year. And then we're going, you'll see it start to slowly fade away. They call it a waning crescent that we deal with. And then when that comes, we know that new moons come after that, the waxing crescent, the new moon come. And then we know that that's 2 weeks later is the Passover. Praise the Most High. Now, we can't obey the Passover the way we're supposed to obey the Passover, but we can certainly celebrate that it's here. You understand what I'm saying? So we can't really keep it like we gonna keep it when we get to the kingdom in a few years, but we can certainly say it's here. We can certainly, say Happy Passover, praise the Most High. We can certainly say Happy New Year, right? So 2025 for us is in a couple of weeks. Praise the Most High, y'all. Y'all got all that? Because I want to make sure we all straight. That's why you be seeing me watch the moon so closely. Like I said last year, watch the moon, man, because that's telling you where we're at. Watch it. So now you got the first new moon. That's the first month. And we know what happens on the seventh new moon, right? The seventh new moon is the blowing of trumpets. And then 10 days later is the feast. Not the feast, is the Day of Atonement. And then 15th day, which is a full moon of the 7th month, is what is it? What is the 15th day of the 7th month, y'all? Come on, tell me. I ain't gonna tell you. You tell me. What's the 15th day, which is a full moon of the 7th month? We got to get ready to get first month coming in a couple of weeks. That's right. Feast of Tabernacles, 7th month. So you got to watch the moon, because in about 2 weeks, you're going to see the first moon of the year. And then you start counting first, second, third, till you get to the 7th one. Usually it's about October. Sometimes, depending on where the moon, it could fall in September. Okay. So, but we just follow it. You'll see it. So you'll see it. It's the Feast of Tabernacles. Like, again, we can't really do what we want to do because we're in our enemy's land, right? We can't really do what we want to do, but it's all right. We getting ready to do it soon, y'all. We get ready to do it soon. I mean, we could always, if you near somebody, you can get together and just praise the Most High, right? But we know we're going to really keep it very shortly. They don't know that yet, but we know it. Praise the Most High. Okay, may the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, y'all. Praise the Most High, family. Thank you all for responding and getting ready. We're getting ready for our little celebration, which is that's really the Feast of Weeks. It's about that time. The last time we did it, it was the exact weekend of the Feast of Weeks, right? Which is Pentecost. Well, I don't know. I ain't really count the number because, the Feast of Weeks comes 7 Sabbaths after the Passover. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Praise the Most High. We're going to be together by the grace of Father Yah in Memorial Day weekend. So praise the Most High. Okay. Until we meet again, Shabbat Shalom. Tito Ban Weothesia. I got you now. Weothesia. I'm going to start with Weothesia because I got you now. Praise the Most High. Shalom.